this is one of the things we need to get to the Seder with that in mind. Stop trying to convince HaShem to let go of things and start trying to figure out, how do I make sure that if Mashiach were to come today, I'm going to be part of that 20%. The 20% that left Egypt. The 20% that survived Mount Sinai. The 20% that accepted the Torah. That said, Na'aseh v'nishma. How do I make sure I'm one of them? How do I secure my job? Why do I don't play with my life on anything else. I don't jump out of planes without a parachute. I don't speed 200 miles an hour on a slippery road. I don't play with my life. Why should I play with my soul? And this is one of the things we have to arrive at Pesach with that in mind and to teach it. Because the number one obligation you have in Pesach is to tell the Pesach story. To tell the family, especially if you have children. If you have children, your children are more important than guests. They're more important than guests. And just so you know, Pesach is one of the holidays that you need all of the chumrot. It's the one holiday you have to be very, very strict. Other holidays were very, very lenient. In Pesach, we're ultra strict. And the reason why is because every time somebody violates Pesach, it's karet. It's the worst possible punishment. You eat chametz, it's karet. Serious, serious sin. So now, a lot of people, myself included, I was a little kid, we were in Israel. At the end of Pesach, we always looked forward to this party in Israel called Memuna. The Moroccans hold a big party after Pesach. Usually they have it in a park. And everybody comes together and there's food and barbecues and tents and music and, chafla. It's Memuna. I always thought everybody's just sick of the matzah and they want to have a grill. But in reality, you could have barbecue during Chol HaMoed. You don't need the Memuna for that. So then I ran out of excuses. What? I didn't know why you have the Memuna. Why do you have such a big party at the end of Pesach? And the reason why is because the previous generation of Moroccans were ultra religious. They were so religious that no one would have or go to anyone's house during Pesach. No one would have any guests because no one was able to rely on anyone else if they're keeping Pesach to the level that they're supposed to. Now, since Moroccans love to have guests, they want to say at the end of the Chag, listen, there's no offense. It's not that I don't trust you or I don't love you. I love you. It's just a Pesach. It's karet. So now let's have Memuna. Memuna is party. Everybody's invited. Everyone's invited to the party. Yeah, muflata and all the food, the steak, everything you want, everyone's invited. Why? Because no karet. Hashem today, there is karet anyway because people walk around not modest, but that's a different story. But nonetheless, it's the reason why we have this party, because again, the Chag Pesach is a very, very, very serious holiday, and the most important mitzvah is to tell the story of Pesach. Tell the story of Pesach. The second, and also if you have kids, number one, if you have guests that they're after, you have to tell your kids, number one, the story. If you don't have any guests, then you have to still keep going. Doesn't matter if you have guests or not. You have to tell your kids, you have to tell your wife, tell yourself. Tell the story of Pesach until you fall asleep. That's the mitzvah. Meaning that if you ran out of stuff to say, open a book, open the midrash, start reading. Learn what happened. But the most important part is not just to say the story. Oh, Moshe Rabbeinu was nice and he helped us out. No. Get to the mindset of how do I make sure I'm one of the 20%. So that's one. And I'll answer your question in a second. Second part is very, very important, is to eat matzah. Now, this is one of the mitzvot that doesn't have much luck. And the reason why is because most people don't really know the real halakha. Now, you eat matzah, you have to eat 30 grams on Leil Seder 4 times. Now, how many of you, with a show of hands, actually, don't bother raising your hand, how many of you actually weigh your matzah? Most people don't weigh their matzah. So how do you know if you eat 30 grams 4 times, it's 120 grams? How do you know? You don't know. That's the problem. Now, what's 30 grams? If you're eating the square matzah, the machine-made matzah, 30 grams is almost an entire square. Almost an entire square. Meaning you have to eat 4 of these entire squares. Who eats 4 of these entire squares? If you eat 2 of those entire squares, you have no room for the rest of the food. So you have a very, very hard time fulfilling this mitzvah. So one of the things that I learned, and Baruch Hashem been doing for the last few years, is to get soft matzah. There's something called soft matzah. I think what's it called in Hebrew? There's a name for it in Hebrew, I forget. But anyway, it's soft matzah. In Israel, there's a few places that make it. In America, I only know of one place. The soft matzah that is like pita in essence. But Yemenite, I don't think it's Yemenite. It's possibly Ftela. Ftela is Yemenite. I don't think it's Yemenite. It may be Yemenite. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. Whoever it is, soft matzah. Point is, Ftela it's called. Yeah, maybe Yemenite. Anyway, it's soft matzah. It's like almost in essence like a pita, obviously, but it's kosher for Pesach. And because it's soft and thick, it weighs a lot more. So in essence, if you weigh it, you only have to eat a small little slice. That's only 30 grams, which in essence means that one circle, which is almost the equivalent of eating one full matzah, one regular square, is equal to the 120 grams, or even less. So it makes it easier to fulfill the mitzvah. The only issue is that they're very, very expensive. Very expensive to buy, and very expensive to ship, because you have to ship them overnight. But listen, the one thing about holidays and the Torah in general is that if you're already going to do them, you should do them with emunah, because if you don't do them with emunah, you're only going to suffer. You're going to suffer that everything's expensive. You're going to suffer that everything is long. You're going to suffer that you're not working. You suffer that you're not watching TV. You're going to suffer with a lot of different excuses of why the Yetzer Hara is going to convince you to suffer. So if you're already going to believe that HaShem Yitbarach is the same HaShem Yitbarach in the Torah, you should have no problem with money. Because you know that in the Gemara, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, and also Masechet Beitzah, in both places it says that Hashem decides what Parnasai is going to give you on Rosh Hashanah, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, but that money that He decides to give you does not include the money He's going to pay you back for whatever you spend on Shabbat, holidays, and mitzvot.